If you haven't already heard, Anchor by Spotify is the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. So download the app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hello, you're listening to Got Clutter, Get Organized, the podcast that focuses on helping you create space to attract more money, love, and happiness in your life. I am your host, Janet M. Taylor, and I want to say hello if you're a regular listener, and welcome if you're listening for the very first time. I hope you are having a great week. And if you enjoy listening to this podcast, please leave a review so I can continue bringing you episodes each week. And I am loving this podcast. This is what Dora Stewart said. So many actionable tips for getting organized, especially for moms. Janet is amazing. Thank you, Dora Stewart. And I'm excited to share. There are two ways you can support this podcast individually by clicking the Buy Me a Coffee link or as a business. And either way, I will give you a shout out on the air. Details for both are in the show page. Well, I'm excited because as we get into the new year, there are some routines and maybe even habits that we need to let go of so we can be more successful, more organized, more focused in the new year, which is why I brought on life coach Tabatha Perry, and she is also the host of the Life Edit podcast. And we're just going to have a conversation on how to create strategies and routines for success. And I will also be sharing my product at Repurpose and book suggestion for the week. And my question for you this week is, I would love for you to share a routine or strategy that has helped you achieve success. And it doesn't have to be anything major. I like making my bed every day. On Saturday mornings, I like doing my food prep, meal prep for the week. What are some of those things that you do? Now, these are just some statistics in regards to really preparing the night before. So, 2 out of 3 people who prepare the night before for their morning routine report having lower stress levels. 44% of people with a morning routine report preparing the night before. 63% of people who are highly productive set an alarm the night before. 44% plan and prep their outfit, and 34% look at the next day's calendar. Which is why I've asked Tabatha Perry is the ultimate go-to for women who want to be more organized and have an organized life. She encourages and equips women that are wanting less chaos and more order in their life. With over 15 years of experience in the criminal justice system, plus 20 more under her belt and has a master's in social work. She's a girl mom, wife, and a life coach. She gives good advice that makes any day less stressful for women, balancing a lot of responsibility. As a professional overthinker, she's learned how to simplify her day and loves helping women create simple and small edits in their daily life so they step into their full, this God-given potential. So I want you to just kind of sit back and listen to my conversation with Tabatha. Well, listeners, it is like the end of the year, and I know you're just trying to get all these things done, these to-dos, but I brought on an expert. I can't wait to get in the conversation, and she's going to just share with us strategies on how we can be more successful, not only maybe leading up to the new year, but definitely in the new year. So I had Tabatha Perry. She is a fellow podcaster. I can't wait to start talking about and learning more about her podcast. So Tabatha, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, Miss Janet. I appreciate it.
So, before we get started in all the strategies and how routines can help us be more successful, I want you to tell me about the Life Edit podcast because you know I got excited. As an organizer, I was like, yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Well, so honestly, I kind of came up with the name because of the home edit, because I love to organize. I love things to be in its place. And I realized in our life, we have to be as strategic as we are with our closets. And sometimes, actually all the time, it's super hard, but it's so rewarding when we do. So I created the Life Edit podcast. It's like this, 20-minute or less ish, like kind of daily dose or once a week dose of information of like practical strategies on how to organize your thoughts, how to organize your schedule, how to just create order in your life. And ultimately, right, we want order is because we want freedom. And we want freedom because we want to feel that peace. And we feel that peace when we're stepping into our purpose. And when we're cluttered with too many things, we're not able to step into our purpose. So I think it's so important that we create that order, which again, it's pretty hard for all of us, for me too.
Oh, it's hard for me too. That's why I said, you know what, I'm gonna have to put it on my list of podcasts to listen to because I can always use strategies just for myself. So, what are some, as we move closer to the new year, what are some things that we really need to let go of? Because, part of what you do as a life coach is really help people be more successful. So, what are
Mhm.
some of the things that we need to just like stop doing so that we can get closer to that success, whatever it is in our lives?
Absolutely. So, one common thing that I have noticed about all the successful people in my life, the ones that are out there, is that they have consistent bedtime and wake up times. Now, they may go to bed at 2 a.m. and wake up at 4 a.m., but it is consistent. And I think that many of us, once we grow up out of the house, we don't have our parents telling us when to go to bed, and so we almost kind of get to be like a rambunctious like teenager and be like, I get to stay up as late as I want because I'm an adult and this is great and I should be able to function and do all the things. Well, at 37, I am not able to function if I do not have good enough sleep, and I have to protect my sleep because there are way too many opportunities for me to stay up or sleep in, all of the things. Also, I think that it's really interesting when we think about thinking and our decision making throughout the day. If we have at least one decision already kind of just solidified, a routine that just kind of habit that happens, we prevent decision fatigue. So if every night you're going to go to bed at 10 p.m. and you're going to wake up at 6 a.m., that is one less decision you have to decide. Because a lot of the times our energy is just drained from going back and forth, back and forth. Should I go to bed? No, I should watch another show. No, should I go work a little bit more? Like, oh, when it is 10 o'clock, okay, it's time for me to actually get ready and go to bed. And in the morning, when your alarm goes off, not pressing snooze, and being able to get up consistently, that is the first thing that you are accomplishing. It's not making your bed. That's like the second, third, fourth thing. It is actually waking up and not pushing snooze. That is your win, like starting your day.
Wow. So, you already talked about us, the sleep time is definitely key. So, are there other things that we need to implement in our lives in order to really like, reach those goals for ourselves and also say that, yes, I was successful at doing this, that, or the other?
Yes. So the other thing I think that is a routine we need to let go of
Hmm.
is overscheduling activities, whether it is for our kids, for ourselves. I am blown away with the level of stress of my friends, of my clients, of even the TV programming now. It's this haggard woman that is running around dropping her kids off doing all of the things. And here's the thing is that we're in charge of our life. We're deciding if we're signing our kids up for these activities. This is not happening to y'all. You are doing it to it. I am doing it to myself. And so to stand in the on the confidence that you don't have to be involved in anything of kind of challenging that FOMO is actually going to help you be more successful because fear of missing out is really a comparison. And we know that comparison steals our joy.
That is so good because it's interesting because I share with people sometimes I have my do nothing Sundays. And they're like, well, what is that? Well, how do you do that? I said, well, it's easier for me because I don't have the children. I says, but I do. I have those times because that's my time to recharge. So I like the way you were talking about all the activities. And it reminded me one time years ago, I did a workshop for some teenagers on time management. One of the gentlemen that came was so exhausted, Tabitha. I mean, to
Oh.
the point, I was like, you know what? Just take a nap. He's like, well, I work it. I work. I'm in football. I got this, that, and the other. And I'm thinking, because he's like, I'm sorry, I'm falling. I said, just take a nap. It will not offend me.
Oh.
I felt so, and you're right. It's like our schedules get as full as our clients. So help us, Tabitha. How can we edit stuff out of our lives so that we can be successful? Because I think sometimes people feel that we need to have those full schedules in order to feel like we're accomplishing stuff. When
Yeah.
really, if you've got a couple things on your schedule, you are really focused and strategic and getting stuff done. So help us.
Yes. So the first thing I suggest is doing an activity that I like to call the roles and goals. So you
Mm,
identify the roles that you play in life. So, for example, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I have my own business, I have my own podcast. Like there's all these roles. So then I have to create, like, what are my goals for each? Several years ago, when I was really struggling being a mom, I kind of had to like write out a job description. Like, what does it even mean to be a successful mom? Because here I am, I'm making all the food, I'm cleaning, I'm kissing them, I'm loving on them, and yet it still is like not enough for them ever. So I had to create that role for myself and those goals. So I'm like, you know what? It doesn't matter what anyone else says. I know that I accomplished what I set out to do. And so when you are able to be more specific on what your goal is, then that is a sense of accomplishment. Because I know we have all had these days where we've literally done hundreds of tasks and we still don't feel productive because we avoided that one thing, the one thing that was really hard. And if we would have done that and nothing else, that would have made us successful. So, what that tells us is that it is not the amount of things that we do, it is what we do. And so many times we get in life and we just kind of keep going and we're in this autopilot and we don't realize what's important to us. And that's where we need to stop,
mm,
connect with ourselves, and really evaluate what is important to me. What are the roles in my life that bring me the most joy? And then that will create that success.
mm. I love that. Roles and goals. Of course, as you can see, I'm just taking so many notes here. But I like that because really, like you said, you just begin to really think about, okay, this is my role, but this is my goal in this role, and this is my goal in this. And that just really, really brings it back to home. It really helps you be really, I guess, focused on what, like you said, your mom, the wife, I'm the usually the friend, the auntie, the podcaster, the
Yes.
consultant. So you're right. When you really know what your roles are, then you'll know, okay, this is what I can do in this role. And this is what I can do in this role. And also it helps you even with seasonal things. We're in the
Mm,
Christmas season and you can just get overwhelmed with all the different invitations and all the things that you want to get done by the end of the year. But sometimes really looking at, you know what, I want to just spend time over here because that's really important for me, and I'm just going to let those off until maybe the new year. I love that. Roles and goals, listeners. Wow, that is wonderful. So, with everything that you do, Tabitha, I mean, your wife, your mom, podcaster, businesswoman, probably do things in the community. You got the family stuff going on too. How do you really organize your day or your life?
hmm Well, kind of circling back, I have a very consistent wake up time and bedtime. So I know that I'm energized throughout the day because I couldn't do it all. I can't do it all on the days that I don't sleep well. And so that is something that that helps me, as well as really that quiet time in the morning, like connecting with God and writing out my thoughts and just remembering who He created me to be and what my purpose is. That just helps like have everything else that may be distracting me go away and focus on what's most important. A couple other things that I do a lot is I say no. And it is uncomfortable, and I am a people pleaser, and so I am still working on it, but I say no to a lot of things. My kids, they are only involved in one activity that they do together, and most evenings, Monday through Friday, they are not involved in any activities except for, again, maybe one. And I do that intentionally to stand out, to show, hey, we can have margin in our lives. My kids are fine, they're healthy, they love playing outside, free play, and that there's so many benefits to having margin in our life. That also gives me margin. I love to read books, and I sit and I read books. And I also, another thing is I delegate. I have a housekeeper. I'm not going to say that I do it all. And I don't cook a lot or very intricate meals, but I am very strategic on the types of meals that I do create. And leftovers, it's about just strategizing your life and figuring out what is like optimal. How can I optimize what I'm doing and have it last me longer so I don't have to use so much energy to get things done?
And I'm so glad you mentioned about the housekeeper, because I have a friend, she's a single mom, and she said it was more important for her to spend time with her child. So therefore, she budgeted for the person to come in and just help her maintain things. She said because that way she could put her energy towards that instead of that. I love it. I love it. And I like
Yes.
the
Well, and
fact,
you're supporting someone's small business
and that
too.
is true, and that is so true. And I also like the way you really have been strategic in regards to what your children are involved in. Because sometimes these kids, their schedules just make my head spin. So I really, really, truly just admire you for doing that.
Well, you'll have to check in with me in like 10 years and see if I really made the right choice. But for right now, it feels like the right choice, that I'm not all crazy running around everywhere.
So, Tabitha, how can people connect with you, listen to your podcast?
Yes. So the Life Edit podcast with Tabatha Perry, they can find it on iTunes as well as Spotify, and even on Google has podcasts. And or they can check out my website, tabathaperry.coach, where I have different options of a life strategy session and opportunities to just do maybe a schedule audit, just time to kind of like look through your schedule and be like, hey, from an outside perspective, let me kind of just give you some feedback on what I see. So those are some of the things that, if you're interested in connecting with me, we can talk about.
I love that. A schedule audit, not just for your closets, but your schedules. Oh my goodness. Well, Tabitha, I could talk to you all day, but I truly thank you for your time. And of course, listeners, I will have a direct link to Tabitha so you can listen to her podcast, but also connect with her to maybe get a schedule audit as well. So, Tabitha, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Janet.
Like this show and want to make your own? Let me tell you about Anchor. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Now you can even add any song from Spotify directly to your episode. The possibilities are endless for what you can create, whether it's music analysis, your own radio show, or something the world's never heard before. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free app or go to anchor.fm to get started. So, what was your takeaway from my conversation with Tabitha? I would love for you to put it in the comments below the link, or go directly to the show page and you can leave me a voice message. So now I'm just going to follow up with some Taylor's tip time, and these are my weekly strategies and routines. My weekly strategy. Number one, I plan the night before, which is a time saver, so I'll get my tote, know what I'm going to wear. I make my bed. I meal prep, as you've heard, at least every Saturday. I do all my meal prep. I always do weekly organizing maintenance, and that's usually just making sure if anything needs to be shredded. I get rid of that. I love trash day because I get rid of a whole bunch of recyclings. So that's like my weekly. And of course, when I do laundry, I fold it and I put it away. And number 5, I schedule in me time because that's very important because I need to recharge. I need to regroup so I can continue doing all the things that I love to do. So I plan the night before. I make my bed. I meal prep because that helps me be healthier. I do weekly organizing, and I always schedule in my me time. As we head into the new year, is it time for you to get organized from your paperwork to your time to your life? Help me help you. Let me help you on this journey. So if you're someone, if you or someone you love or know needs to conquer their clutter and get organized, you and them can start today. Go to my contact page, schedule a 15-minute session. Take the step necessary to start by doing something now. Click the link in the show page. And there's still time to give gift certificates as well. Thank you for following me on social media. Thank you so much. Just thank you for listening to this podcast. Follow me on social media for your likes or retweets, for your sharing. Please continue to follow me. And of course, check out my Pinterest page, and I have a board for goals, and it's all about time. And don't forget my YouTube channel. And make sure you click the link to subscribe, and also click that bell so you can get reminders every time a new video is available. And of course, ladies, if you're thinking of getting your life organized, don't get overwhelmed. Join my Facebook group, Living Life Totally Organized. It's a community of women supporting each other on their journey to living a life that is totally organized. It's free. It's very supportive. I provide strategies and techniques and tips on how to get organized. A lot of times other women will see things and they want to share them as well. So, do you know what time it is? Do you have your jig? Are you pushing the table aside? Are you just doing a little dance where you are? It is Toss It Tuesday time. And this time, delete old voicemail. You can perhaps save that voicemail from the beginning of the year. Now we're at the end, so now it's time to let it go. My app suggestion is Trello, because that can help you. Some people use it for meal planning. Some people use it for project planning. Help you kind of stay focused on each task and what you need to do. My product suggestion is a command center, which will help you and your family stay on target and focused on, the time that is spent in, on all the different activities. And sometimes you'll really get a visual of, wait a minute, we're way too busy because we're not spending enough time with each other. So check that out. And of course, always check out my repurposed boards on Pinterest. And of course, my book suggestion is The High Five Habit. Take control of your life with one simple habit. And this is also available in Audible. And of course, if you are interested in Audible, be sure to get your free copy and a free 30-day trial. Again, you can get a free copy and a free 30-day trial from Audible. Click the link in the show page. And my quote for you this week is, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. The end of your comfort zone. A lot of times we don't want to move forward because it's a little discomfort. But you know what? Take that step. I've taken it so many times I can't even remember how many. Every time I step on a stage and speak, or even when I'm doing a webinar and I start, I'm a little nervous, but I keep pushing forward. So even if you want to get organized, just do it. Just do one little thing. Well, I definitely want to thank you for listening, and be sure to share this podcast with your family, your friends, and on your social media network. And again, let me know you enjoy listening to this podcast by leaving a review and supporting this podcast, and by buying me a cup of coffee. And of course, always visit my website at www.janetmtaylor.com. And until next time, I want you to have a clutter-free day and organized week. And for those of you who will be celebrating Christmas holiday. Have a very Merry Christmas. Organization is a quintessential element of a clutter-free life. Join me as we take this journey together. Along the way, we will find the necessary answers to your organizing dilemmas. My name is Janet M. Taylor, and you are listening to Got Clutter, Get Organized.